at myusatrainer.com/Mike. Restrictions apply. See myusatrainer.com/Mike for all the details. Don't forget, in this hour, I'll be giving you the winning word, your chance to win a magnificent trip to the ESPYs in Los Angeles. But with Jay Williams in for Golick this morning, our pleasure to go live to Denver right now on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. We find our teammate, Chauncey Billups, with his thoughts. And Chauncey, I want to start with the game last night in L.A. because that was an extremely impressive performance from the Clippers. San Antonio was my pick going into the playoffs based upon their experience and everything else, and it's only one game, so you don't want to overreact. But just how impressed were you by the Clippers last night, and what do you think that performance sort of bodes for the rest of this series?
I was very impressed with the Clippers last night, as everybody was. I mean, they hit on all cylinders last night. Chris Paul he couldn't have played better. He was great. Obviously, Blake Griffin was phenomenal last night. Jamal Crawford comes off the bench, does what he does. He was fantastic last night. And I think more importantly, the unsung hero there, which is always, almost in every case, is DeAndre Jordan. I mean, he comes and he changes the game. If he's not blocking the shot, he's changing the shot. And if you've seen a lot of the times last night in the game, not only was he changing the shot, but guys stopped coming in there shooting layups. I mean, they would have a pass kicking into the paint, and a guy would pass it again out of the paint because DeAndre was right there to change the shot or block the shot. And I just think they couldn't play any better than that.
CB, let's transition real quick to Memphis when they were playing against Portland the other night. Defensively, they were off the charts. They made life so difficult for Damian Lillard and also LaMarcus Aldridge. But how important is Mike Conley to this team? Because in order for him to get there, he just needs to be exceptional. But he showed good signs last night, only 2 weeks into that injury.
You know what, Jay? Mike Conley, he's the straw that stirs the coffee on that team, and they're going to need him if they plan on playing late, winning 2 series and getting to the finals, the Western Conference Finals. I mean, they're going to need Mike Conley to be the Mike Conley, and I don't know, how that injury's matching up. I mean, his backup played great last night, Beno Udrih, but they're going to need Mike Conley, and he played good last night in spurts, as you said, but they'll get through this series. I mean, Portland's banged up. I mean, Memphis' defense is just so good, man, that they'll get through this series without a problem, probably. But going forward, I mean, you're going to have Golden State next series, so he's going to have Steph Curry, and he's going to have to be as healthy as possible for them to continue to get through these series, man.
Mike and Mike, Chauncey Billups is with us, obviously a veteran of so many long NBA playoff runs and a title run in Detroit many years ago, and so you know what a championship team looks like. What do you think the Cleveland Cavaliers, who got off to a good start yesterday, I mean, they were down early, took a big lead, ultimately get the win that they wanted. What do they need to look like to have a chance to win the championship this year? Basically, I'm asking you about the big three.
Well, I think, obviously yesterday was the first playoff game for 2 of those guys, and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. But I'll tell you what, they showed that they were ready to go. I mean, they hadn't played in a lot of meaningful NBA games, but those guys are world champions. They've been on Olympic teams. They've played in some big games and on some big stages before. They just had to translate that, and I thought yesterday they showed that they were ready to go, which was going to be one of my concerns. They have a head coach that was his first game as well in the NBA playoffs. But I'll tell you what, as long as they focus on the defensive end, because offensively they got so many weapons. They got 2 or 3 guys that are going to get hot every game. JR didn't even, they got so many weapons. They got so many guys. So if they can continue defensively to lock in, keep people out of their paint, make people take contested 2-point shots, they're going to have a chance to do the whole thing.
CB, there was a great cover on the Toronto Sun cover with a picture of Paul Pierce dressed up as Gandalf Grey, right? And it says, same old Pierce from dinosaur to wizard. But what are your thoughts on his performance in the first round of that playoffs for D.C.?
I thought he was great. I mean, and by the way, that's the reason why they signed him for the playoffs and for moments like that. And if you look at how that game started, it was an ugly game. The game was a mess. I mean, John Wall couldn't make a shot. Bradley Beal couldn't make a shot. They're big. They didn't play well. So when all else fails, you go to the veteran. You go to the guy who's been there before, who's actually been in that facility, in that building a year ago playing Grim Reaper. So, I mean, I thought Paul was great. That's the reason why they signed him. They're going to lean on him. And the good thing is, those other young guys, that young backcourt they have, they won't play poorly every game. So Paul's not going to have to be that guy every game, but you can depend on him. That's the reason why he's there.
Mike and Chauncey Billups, a final thought for me. Not a lot of shocking results coming out of the first weekend of the NBA playoffs. Did anything surprise you? Anything you were watching you thought to yourself, this was not what I was expecting to see in any of the 8 games we've seen so far? Not really. I mean, I was a little critical of Atlanta yesterday because I think, you win 60 games, you go 35-6 at home. You got to come out and establish dominance early on. You're playing the 8th seed. And although Brooklyn, they've got some nice pieces, they've been an underachieving team for 2 years. And I think Atlanta, if you want to go to that next level, you have to come out and dominate. You come out and you win every game. You win it handily. If you get up 20, don't let off of the pedal, something they don't have a lot of experience in. So maybe they learn from that. You get that series over with as fast as possible so you can get rest because there's going to be some tougher series coming, standing there waiting on you next.
Chauncey, I want to get your thoughts on one last thing. And look, you were a point guard. I got a chance to play against you. You dominated throughout your tenure in the league, and you also had a mentality where every single day you brought your A game. What are your thoughts on Paul Pierce's comments about Deron Williams, and then obviously seeing how Deron Williams played in his first playoff game the other day?
Yeah, you know what? I thought his comments were great. I thought he was very transparent. I don't think that he was trying to demean or kill anybody that he talked about as far as Deron Williams is concerned. I mean, I played against him a lot early in his career when he was really regarded as the top 1 or 2 point guard in the league, he along with Chris Paul. And he was really, really tough, man. And for Paul to say what he said, I can understand that. I can see that because I think that this guy should still be at the top of his game, barring a major injury or anything. He should be at the top of his game, and that position is obviously the deepest position in the game. He still has a skill set to be that guy, but he's been some sort of a reluctant leader of sorts, and I thought what Paul said was fair.
And then, Jay, as you pointed out, for him to not respond last night, sort of come out and not try to take the game over, not to play with the kind of fire and enthusiasm that you were expecting, particularly after he had been called out that way, that surprised you a lot.
Yeah, it did. It almost felt in a way that, watching Jarrett Jack on the court, Jarrett Jack was directing and telling people what to do and bringing in huddles, and that's what Deron Williams should be doing. You know what I mean? Jarrett Jack is a decent player, but he's not the same caliber as D. Will.
You're absolutely right, and the way that Jarrett, he's out there and he's directing and he's guiding guys and he's talking and he's playing with so much effort. There's a reason why they started starting Jarrett Jack early in the season and bringing, D. Will off the bench, and that's just because of his leadership qualities, what he's going to bring to the game. And you're absolutely right, man. That's what we paid D. Will for. I mean, that's what we got him here for. We brought him here to do all of the things that we're talking about. He's supposed to be that guy for me. So. Again, Paul spoke. He spoke the truth, and I thought it was fair.
Chauncey Billups, again, you'll see him all through the playoffs here on ESPN. Thanks, Chauncey.
All right, guys. Take care, man.
Chauncey Billups in Denver this morning. Mike with Jay Williams here. He's a very good, terrific player, obviously, in his